If you are looking to land your first UGC deal and brand collaboration, you have come to the right video. Hi, I'm Kelly Hill. I am a content creator and influencer, and I have been working with brands for almost 8 years now, creating content. I have been helping many of my students work with brands, become creators, start to be able to work remotely from anywhere in the world since 2020. So I'm so glad you're here and clicked on this video, because today I'm going to share what you can do to land your first brand collaboration and land your first UGC deal. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I landed my very first UGC deals. Specifically, we're going to be covering the UGC and content creation, because that is what I suggest that you get into. Even if you want to become an influencer or any sort of content creator, I think UGC is the perfect route, because you can start getting paid right away to make content. So let's dive into a little bit of my story. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, leave any comments or questions that you have, and let's get started. So how did I get started into UGC and content creation? Before UGC became popular, I started becoming an influencer and content creator back in 2017, which is when I first had brand collaborations. But I specifically want to talk about creating content in UGC for brands today. So the very first time that I started creating content for brands was around 2018, 2019. And they were finding me through social media because I was posting as an influencer, and I had already done a lot of sponsorship. But at that point, people started wanting content from me to be able to advertise for their brands. They didn't want me to post the content. They didn't want to work with me in a sponsorship way. They wanted me to make content that they could use to promote their products. So I basically fell into this content creation business for brands that was outside of a lot of my influencer friends and what I was seeing a lot of influencers do, which was working with brands. And then I saw a lot of photographers, they were licensing content to brand professional photographers, but there was this in between, like a content creator where you were creating more organic type of content, but for the brands to be able to use. So that's how I got into UGC, but it wasn't called UGC then. They just said they wanted content, they wanted photos. So they were pretty much hiring me like a photographer and videographer, using my phone or using my camera. And so that's how I started creating UGC and content for brands, was because they found me on social media. So this is my biggest tip. And one of the advantages with UGC, user-generated content, and creating that content for brands, which is where you don't have to post on your own social like an advertisement, that's one of the biggest perks. But I tell this to all my students, is that you should be sharing your work still on, because that's how a lot of brands still discover creators that they want to work with, is by seeing their content organically on social media. So the people that work for these brands that have maybe a small business that needs content, they still find you on social media, especially now today, like on Pinterest and on TikTok. They're super, super searchable. So it's so much easier to get discovered now too. So I highly recommend, and I tell this with all of my students who have my collaboration kit or are in my courses. I have all that information down below, by the way. If you want to get started on template kits, or if you want to get started on one of my courses, I've got that all linked below. But I tell them to create a special, if they don't want to be an influencer, they don't have an influencer page, create a specific social media profile across social media platforms for your UGC and creator content to share the work that you're doing for brands. You want to think of it as like that social media profile is a portfolio. So basically your social media profile is acting like a portfolio for brands to view the type of content you create. If you treat it like a portfolio of your work, it's an amazing way to track brands. So the second reason that this sort of happened was also because I had a style. I had something that brands wanted, a unique style and a unique perspective. And so brands specifically wanted the perspective that I shot, which was generally at the beach, or through that lens of being at the beach and having that style of being beachy, which might include sun and bright colors. And so brands wanted to capture that vibe. So that was another big way that I was able to capture creating content for brands, was by having this style. Now, it's sort of hard to go off the bat when you're just starting out as a beginner to know what your style is. So it's just so important, which is what I share with all my students. Just start creating and just focus on specific things and focus on shooting in the same place to really get that style, because people will want that style that you create in, and they'll want your unique perspective. So your unique perspective might also be the location that you live in or something about your lifestyle. You have something unique and a unique way to share that's special about you and how you can create already. You don't need to go up and make something else, something up new. You don't need to have this beautiful aesthetic home or have the top of the line camera equipment. You don't need any of that at all. But having that unique way that you edit and that way that you present content, that's what's going to get it. You don't even have to be amazing at editing. You don't have to be super skilled at it. It's more of just the perspective of what you show it. And so the best way to do it is you just need to start creating. So that's why I say, again, create that social media account to show off your UGC work and treat it like a portfolio. So start creating the content that then goes into the portfolio. So part of this with the style is that the content that brands wanted from me was usually based on content that I created organically, that wasn't sponsored, that wasn't what someone hired me to create. Recently hired by a skincare brand, and it was based off the fact that I already had a thing in my portfolio of work that I made showcasing sunscreen. And so they wanted to work with me because I already had content that was around the sunscreen, and they wanted that beachy content. So, and it was something that I had created organically, and that's what got me the job to create UGC for this client. So that's why I always say, start creating organic content around things you already like and things that you already use to go into your portfolio. And don't just have that portfolio on a website. Have it on a social media profile, because you need that portfolio on a website and have a PDF of the work that you create. And I cover all of that in my step-by-step tutorial. I'll link that for you here. That goes over step-by-step everything you need to start doing UGC for brands and start creating for brands and getting paid. I cover everything step-by-step in that video. But I really just want to focus on the top 3 things that will really land you these first deals. So that was that other reason that was landing the content creation work, was they wanted my style and perspective. So the only way that you get to that is by just start creating. You don't need to be amazing. You already can do everything that will attract brands to work with you and pay you for the content. It's literally just doing it. So just do it. Around end of 2020 to end of 2021, that's when UGC and the term UGC really started taking off. That's when I started being asked to create specifically UGC, because before they were just calling it photos or videos or content. But now people started saying specifically UGC. And so 2021 was really when the brands were saying, we want you to create UGC. And so part of that was piggybacking off of, they were seeing my stuff on social media, and I had that specific vibe. They wanted to have that vibe for their products and for their brand. They wanted me to create that for them. So again, UGC is picking up. And again, those 2 things are still so important. To this day in 2024, these things are still important, and these things will still continue to be important. So this recommendation has not changed at all. So now in 2021, I ended up getting pregnant with my son. I was living short-term in Mexico at the time, and I got pregnant with him, and I moved back to the US. I've been living abroad for 18 months at that point. So anyways, I knew I needed to change my content creation business and do more of it for brands, and where it didn't rely on me posting on my page as an influencer. And so I really wanted to start leaning into UGC. I had people asking me to create UGC for them based off my vibe, based off what they saw on social media. And so now I started, okay, well, how can I really ramp this up? So that's the 3rd tip and step, is these creator platforms. So I started looking on creator platforms and specifically looking for UGC and content creation opportunities. So sometimes they also, on these creator platforms, it might say UGC, but it might also say visual assets or just video and photo. It'll say if it's for an influencer sponsorship. So I started seeking that out and really leaning into creative platforms in 2021. And then all my UGC work just skyrocketed from there, especially because of these creator platforms. On these creator platforms, you have a profile that then you can apply to campaigns that these brands post and say they need the content for. But it also has you as a suggested creator if they're just browsing the inventory of creators. So I have in my collaboration kit and UGC collaboration kit down below. I have all of the platforms that I'm on and that I use linked below in that kit. I also have templates for everything that I use. They're literally the templates I use for pitching and negotiating with brands, the templates I use for my UGC portfolio, as well as my influencer media kit. So I've got all of that. I also have like a whole project management system that I use in Notion for tracking all of my UGC collaborations. So I've got all of that in my template kit for you down below. Just hit that link and you can have access to everything that I'm using. So that is that's how I really started ramping up, and still to this day. Now, most of my UGC clients and work come through this third thing, the creator platforms. Because I started so early, there weren't these creator platforms back in 2018 when I started. So I kind of stacked these on as I go. But now I always recommend to you, when you're starting out with UGC and you're going to land your very first client, I suggest you start on these creator platforms. So sign up for the creator platforms, make your social media profiles, put your portfolio in the link of your profile, start posting your work, and really hone in on that style. And maybe you don't have to niche down, but it is helpful to kind of focus on a type of content. So those are literally the top ways that you are going to land your first paid deals as a UGC creator. And I am so excited for you. Literally, you can get this going in a week. You can get started. I have seen my students, as soon as they signed up for those creator platforms, they started getting some responses from brands and landing those first. So good luck to you. You're going to do amazing and kill it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments so I can make any more videos or tutorials about this. Literally, this is my job. I create content for brands. I'm doing this all the time. And I'm so happy to share how that I do it and how it can help you in your journey, because I think it is just life-changing. Literally, this job has enabled me so much. I'm able to be home with my kids. I'm able to travel when I want. I can live anywhere in the world. I literally live steps from the beach. I can see my family when I want, all because of this ability to work from anywhere and run this business I have, creating content for brands and for businesses. And you have all of the skills that you need. If you have a phone, you can do this. It's just a matter of starting. So I will see you next time in my next video. So make sure you're subscribed, and I hope you have a great day. I'm sending you all the sunshine. Okay, bye.